In the end zone, they were smart misses. Nobody else could get him. Didn't have his left tackle. Didn't have a left guard. Doesn't have a number one wide receiver. They don't run the ball particularly well. And he had 30 points in the first half. It was a show-off flex game for New England that's been really good all season, but they don't get many standalone games. And, one of the rules when somebody's going to be great, they don't necessarily make it look easy, but they make it look easier than it looks for 90% of the quarterbacks in the league. Joe Burrow, on third down, he doesn't have a huge arm. He's not a giant guy. He's not super mobile. It just always puts the ball in the right place when he's healthy. It's just great, looks a lot easier. I watched Michael Jordan for years. He wasn't the best ball handler. He wasn't the strongest player. He didn't have the best long range. It's just like 17 feet away, he just couldn't stop him. And the first year, he was a little reckless, got hit too often. Beginning of this year, he wasn't quite there yet, but I watched him the last 4 or 5 weeks. I was sitting there waiting for his bubble to burst a little bit, sophomore slump. Nope. He's getting better every week. This is one of those guys that checks all the boxes. Jackson Dart, to me, feels like he is still, to some degree, kind of winging it and doesn't quite see the field as well as I'd like him to see the field. Drake Maye, you're watching it in real time. Stoic, not a lot of bad throws, not getting hit. I mean, listen, you get a franchise quarterback every year. You get an all-timer about every 4 or 5 years. I think we found one. He is on pace to be the greatest quarterback on first down in the history of the game for a single season. Number 2 is Aaron Rodgers. Number 3 is Drew Brees. And here's the thing. New England's offensive roster is still at least one draft class away. They got to upgrade the O-line, they need more dynamic players at tight end and wide receiver. Their run game, again, below average. So, and I'm watching them last night. I know I lived, in New England territory for a decade. So I watched every Patriot game during Brady, Belichick, Robert Kraft, Josh McDaniels. It's a very reminiscent team. There's a lot of do-your-job efficiency. Just like Belichick, Vrabel's special teams are great. And Josh McDaniel is designing the offense and play calling. Kraft's still the owner. Vrabel's a more player-friendly version of Belichick, and Drake Maye is a more mobile version of Brady. Tall guy, smart guy, doesn't take a lot of hits, doesn't make a lot of bad throws, super accurate. It's very reminiscent.
Make no mistake about it. I call Drake Maye a mobile Tom Brady first. I am the one who did that, okay? Like Brew calling Mahomes Jordan-esque. I said that first, and I'm sticking to it. This is where I'm happy that I already made my post-game clip, like in the middle of the night before everyone else got their takes out. So, I got those out first. But I don't even remember what I said at this point, but it's a great take. You guys should watch it. I do remember really liking it. Reading the comments on that post-game clip that I made in the middle of the night was interesting to me because, I saw a handful of clips where, and this has been kind of consistent with some of the conversations around the Patriots and Drake Maye, is that, they're playing bad teams, they're fool's gold, et cetera, et cetera. And I think people lose sight of that sometimes. And I'm the one that has emphasized this many, many, many times. It is one of my, foundational takes about what you do against bad teams only means so much to me. And it all depends on, are you a young team, a young quarterback, and a seasoned veteran? Where does it all go? But that still doesn't diminish the quality of play, especially when you're a young quarterback or a young team, and a new team, a newly put together team, new defensive coordinator, new head coach, new coordinator, young quarterback. We saw this stat. If you watch the game, they have the second most rookies taking plays, or total plays by rookies, however they, counted it. And you see that the Patriots are second most there. And all the other teams, it's like the Browns, the Titans, and I forgot the other team. It's all teams that are doing absolutely nothing, that are all just going nowhere and going nowhere fast. And And, when you put this all together and you see how they're winning and the quality of play, it's a lot different when I say, I don't care that the Detroit Lions dominated the Giants or rolled the Panthers or, you know, whatever team it was, in years past that were, terrible. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, you're you're such a put together team. You're you have great coaching, great quarterback play, great offense, great defense, etc., etc. You dominating this B. I don't care what how many rushing yards so and so has, or how many points you hung. Okay, score. Cool. You won 45-0. Like, that's awesome and that is cool. But like, it doesn't really tell me who you are as a team at this point, right? Like, it just is what it is to me. Um but it is going to be a little bit different when you're talking about a team like this. And when you're seeing the quality of play of this newly formed team and you're seeing the throws that Drake Maye is making, I'm not going to have the same sense that this is a fool's gold team, because I saw this morning First Take where it's like, oh, they can win a Super Bowl but like temper, expectations or whatever. And I said last night, and I saw a couple other people start to echo this, where it's like, stop saying that this team can't win a Super Bowl. And it's like, what are the reasons why? And what's always annoys me about some of these takes is that people will say, I don't think this team can win a Super Bowl, and then they don't win a Super Bowl. And it's like, see, I told you. And it's like, one team wins a Super Bowl a year. One team. You could say that about every single team, and you are going to be right 31 out of 32 times. Does that mean that you're a super genius and you just have like, a near 100% success rate at predictions? No. So, like, that is one of my biggest pet peeves in sports talk, where it's like, you pretty much say like, none of these teams can win a Super Bowl, and then of course obviously all of them, but one wins a Super Bowl, and you're like, see, I told you the Chiefs weren't good enough to win. I told you the Bills weren't good enough. And it's like, okay, sure, whatever you say. Technically, if you said, I don't think Tom Brady can win the Super Bowl year after year after year, majority, you would be right more often than not. If you just kept saying Tom Brady can't win the Super Bowl this year, Tom Brady can't win the Super Bowl, does that mean that you were right? No, it does not. No, it does not. It would mean you're just, an insane person to keep betting against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots during that run. And I feel, the same way about Drake, the same. Maye and the New England Patriots right now, especially during a season where you're looking around the league, and this is what I said last night, where it's just like, what you can't with your chest out with full on confidence say, watch. I'm picking the Seahawks over the Patriots. Well, I'm picking Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts over the Patriots. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills over the Patriots. Like, why? The Baltimore Ravens? Why? Like why the Denver Broncos? And again, these are teams that I'm high on. Like the Denver Broncos, I'm definitely mega high on. But it's like, I can't say if the Patriots and the Broncos play that the Patriots have no chance of winning. Like, why? Under what logic is that? And it's the same thing about the Broncos. Under what logic can they not? Like, the logic isn't there right now. And I always emphasize that, like, I need to see the logic. And it's just like, where's the actual logic? Like, it's just really kind of made up at this point. If this was years past, yes, I would feel a lot more comfortable saying, it's tough for the Patriots to go up against this Bills team, this Ravens team, this Chiefs team, this Eagles team. Like, I would feel more confident saying that and be like, yeah, this is a great team. They're having a lot of wins. They're having a lot of success. And that's how I felt about the Commanders last year. And I was like, no, the Commanders can absolutely do damage. Jane Daniels is special. And that's why I picked the Commanders over the Bucks, the Lions, etc., but not over the Eagles. I'm like, that's a fully formed team. That is a team that's dominant. That is a team that can beat you in a million different ways. They've been to the Super Bowl. They have the experience, etc., etc., etc. Like, that all made sense to me. I don't see that version of the Eagles or even the Chiefs last year, where they obviously had, they were winning in crazy ways, but like, you still felt like that's Spags, that's Andy, that's Mahomes, that's Kelsey, that's a great defense. Boom, 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 boom. But like this year, that's not who the Chiefs are. That's not that version of the Chiefs right now. And I'd say that every single team everyone, the experience that everyone's having about the Kansas City Chiefs right now, where they're like, uh, this is not the Chiefs that we know. You can kind of say that about like every team right now, where you're like, that's not really the Eagles that I know, or like, that's certainly not the Ravens that I know. That's the Bills. Like, oh, I don't know what to do with you right now. And I feel like that way about every team, every top team. And so I'm just not going to put the Patriots in like their own little separate box because they have this young quarterback, especially this young quarterback who's playing out of his mind. I mean, he is brilliant right now. Even when he's playing against a team like the Giants, it's just like his quality of play is absolutely through the roof. And this is what I've said now a few times where it's just like if you have a question mark about your quarterback, whether it's like a little bit more of an older quarterback who's now been in the league for years, where you're just like, what do we do with Bryce Young? Or like Kyler Murray, is it time we move on from him? Or a young quarterback where you're like JJ McCarthy, like, can he be great? Like, who is he as a quarterback? And it's just like, just look at Drake Maye. It's like that's what you're going for. Like that's what you're looking for. If you want to like have a question mark about like, is Russell Wilson still a good thrower of the football? Can he still throw the ball? Is he a good, Justin Fields? How good of a, so and so, how good of a passer are you really? And it's just like that's what we mean by a great passer. Like that's what we mean by someone who, you know, is a young quarterback and who can just throw a beautiful ball. And it's not just about dropping back and just letting it rip 70 yards down the field. Don't me wrong, the man can do that too, but it's the touch, it's the layering, it's the decision making, it's the composure, it's the accuracy, it's the placement, which there's a difference between all of those things. The anticipation, being able to execute the offense and run within it. A lot of times, when Colin said, oh, he's one of the best first down quarterbacks or whatever, in NFL history. And it's just like that's a combination between quarterback and coaching. And he showed Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees because as soon as he said that, I was like, my mind automatically was like, well, hold on, man. Coaching has to, take a big part of that. The coaching, they're calling the plays, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, but a lot of times, especially when you're talking about first downs, like it's also executing the offense, right? It's going to be a combination between coaching and the play call, and then just executing that, right? Executing that at a high level. And that's what Drake Maye is doing at such an insane on the high level right now. He is running the offense. He is executing the offense. He is, like I always talk about, the best quarterbacks are extensions of their coaches, right? They're avatars for their coaches, and for the play call, for the plays that they're calling, doesn't mean that they don't go beyond that. Doesn't mean that they don't, do extra stuff there. But like to me right now, and this is what I said last night, now it's all coming back to me. Now I'm remembering everything that I said. Drake and Josh right now, you have a real argument to say that this is the best coach quarterback duo. And for, what I'm talking about, if you have a defensive coach, I'm looking at the offensive coordinator in that regard. But you could make the real argument right now that they are the best coach quarterback duo. Matthew Stafford and McVay probably have the second best argument for that, or maybe even the best argument, but I'd argue you. They got Puka, they got Devontae, et cetera, which is helping. And again, you're allowed to benefit from players around. You're allowed to benefit from receivers, I'm not knocking them, but if we're trying to look at this, in a vacuum and kind of put people in these boxes, I'd be like, I don't know, it's hard to go against that. And we're not making value statements on the past or anything like that, which then takes me to my next take. And this is what I also said last night. It really is all coming back to me. I'm happy. I'm glad I remember all this now because I think they're all interesting points to make. And I'll probably end here. If we're looking at the quarterback landscape, because Colin's like, is Drake Maye already a top 5 quarterback? I'm not so sure if you're factoring in age, health, etc. We're not talking about past accolades. We're not talking about what you've proven to be able to do in the past, the rings, the MVPs, anything like that. We're just looking at the quarterbacks right now. And you're factoring in so-and-so is 29, so-and-so is 32, so-and-so's, 27. But he's been banged up 4 times, whatever it is. You're looking at the whole quarterback landscape, and you have to consider Mahomes is turning 30, or whatever he's turning right now. And Josh Allen's getting older. Lamar Jackson's banged up and he's getting older, all that type of stuff. If you just look at these quarterbacks right now, I'm not so sure you'd really pick anyone over Drake Maye. Drake Maye, you could make the argument, is the safest bet to say, I need a quarterback for the next 10 plus years. Who do I want? Not so sure that's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not so sure that's Josh Allen. Not so sure that's Lamar, Joe Burrow, Jalen, Jaden. Jaden On is the other quarterback who is obviously young, who I'm mega high on. He's been injured a couple times. I'm not going to hold that against him when we're having discussions about him and when we're talking about how good can Jaden be and et cetera, et cetera. But if we're going to play this little game that I just made up right now where it's like you have to pick a quarterback, you have to factor in all this stuff, age, injuries, et cetera, the safest bet seemingly it would be Drake Maye. I'm not sure you would pick anyone over Drake Maye in this immediate moment. I don't see how you could. I really don't. I just don't see how you could. And it's just remarkable. It really is. It's absolutely remarkable. And so this is why I push back on any of the hyper intense conversations about some of these quarterbacks, whether it's Shador or whatever, where it's just like, you would think that the way how Drake Maye is playing right now is how we've seen lots of these other young quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks that say they're going to change the world or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, this is so special what he's doing so fast. And what's even more impressive to me about it is that it's not based off of this like off-script hypermobile where it's like, well, yeah, he's just so fast and athletic and strong. Like, of course, he's getting people, off their back foots and, defenses are a little confused. Like, that's what we saw with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, et cetera. And it's just like they were able to run and execute offenses too, all at different levels at earlier stages of their career. But like, he's already just playing within the offense at just such a high level. And he doesn't have a Travis Kelce. He doesn't have a Tyreek Hill, right? He doesn't have the speed and athleticism of a Lamar Jackson. He does not have the power of a Josh Allen. Like, he doesn't have that, And so seeing what he's able to do right now, it's just remarkable. It really, really, really is. And it should scare everyone who is not a New England Patriots fan. It should absolutely positively scare everyone. I kept saying, what is this next? What is the next evolution of like the Mahomes, the Allen, Lamar? And I made the joke, and I'll definitely end here, where like there's a quarterback one day who's going to be like as big and strong as like LeBron James, right? He's going to be like 67, 68, and they're going to be like, we've never seen a quarterback like this. Like, he is an absolute monster, and he's fast and athletic and could jump over people, and you're just going to be like, this is ridiculous. It's going to happen one day. You're just going to see a monster. We're going to have a 7-foot quarterback one day. I'm not saying it's happening next year, but it's going to happen one day. If the NFL is around for the next 100 years, we're going to see some crazy stuff where we're like, I've never seen this before in my entire life. And they're going to dominate, and it's going to be insane. And I just hope I'm alive and have my abilities to understand what I'm seeing, see it. And you can make the argument that maybe Drake Maye is the next evolution of the quarterback, where he's not this hypermobile, he's not the Lamar, he's not the Mahomes, he's not the Josh Allen, but he really is this combination of like a more mobile Brady, where he can still stay so much more composed within the offense, not constantly go for broke, not putting his body on the line, can thread the needle, can execute an insane deep ball. I mean, like, it's just, I think you almost loses meaning when Colin says something like, oh, he checks all the boxes. It's like, no. Like, it's more than him just checking all the boxes. Like, it's just through the roof for every single category. He didn't improve in anything else. If he just stayed exactly like this, which we know no quarterback stays frozen in time, they should all get better at this stage of their careers. If he just stayed like this, if you just had consistent coaching and a good enough team, they're perennial Super Bowl contenders. Now, imagine him getting 5% better, 10% better, 15% better. Imagine him just get more comfortable reading defenses, pre-snap reads, etc., etc. Now give him like a dude, right? Give him a couple dudes, but you're like, whoa, that's an ALP pro wide receiver. That's a running back who, you can count on getting 1,400, 1,500, whatever it is, and 12 touchdowns. Like, I mean, my goodness. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Drake Maye and the New England Patriots? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next.